Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold. No, this video is not late at all, but today we are here to talk about each school's biggest weakness, because yesterday I talked about their strengths, and stands to reason, might as well talk about what each school is sort of struggling with when it comes to PvE. And so, yeah, like, honestly, each class does recently, especially with like the homogenization of stats, it's like every school is able to just like get up to that 237 damage and all of that, or roughly. I mean, I could definitely get here if I subbed out a Pierce Jewel, but you get the idea. But anyway, it's like every school is still good at hitting. Like every school can hit that 237, and yeah, I mean, there's not really much room for weaknesses, but I will say that when we talked about the Fire School, Fire's biggest weakness, in my opinion, is just its lack of a good, like, AoE. Because, let's just be honest, Raging Bull, like, I have both of these on the B path right now, but we can look at the A path if I just look over here. So yeah, Raging Bull, 6 pips and a shad, which, right, 750 to 900 damage and a 40% smoke mantle. Yeah, things could be better here. But what's funny is that this is Fire's best AoE, because if we look at Fire Dragon, for example, you're going to look at this and you're going to be like, oh, this does a lot of damage. It does 590 plus 435. At max tier, that is like 1025. That's strong, but the enchant gets split across the initial hit and the dot. And that is the biggest issue with Fire. It's like Fire is very, very good with damage over times. It's like I showed y'all in the last video. Rain of Fire is very, very strong, especially on the B path, and then Scald is also really, really strong for the same reason. But you need Incendiate to really make those work. And if you're just trying to solo quest and clear mobs and bosses and all of that just sort of on your own, then if you enchant this Fire Dragon, like, it's not gonna do like 890 and then the 435 on the damage over time, just on the back end. It's going to get split, and that is a big issue with the Fire School. Like, you've got to use an extra buff here and there. It's like the card will kill eventually, but if you're in a situation where you need to kill on that exact round, and sometimes you just can't because of this, that just is how it is. And yeah, I mean, because otherwise the spell is very, very good. I mean, it's pretty good. Like 1025 base damage at the max tier. Of course, going up to 1325 with an epic enchant. But like I said, it does get split across the front and back ends. So just kind of tough and unfortunate to deal with there. So yeah, and then Fire's last notable AoE, of course, Phantasmania, is very, very good, and you will see people using this. Fires will usually use this over anything else, but Fire's last AoE is Blast Off, and if I could find that card, here we go. So yeah, Blast Off, as you can see, it's a bomb dot. So it's like I've talked about how you need Incendiate to make some of these other Fire AoEs work, but Blast Off is a different breed. I mean, look at this. It does do a lot of damage at the max tier. Like 1320 on a bomb dot is good. Like, it's strong for 8 pips and a shad. And it does extend any existing dots by another turn, but I mean, it's a bomb dot. It doesn't go off for 4 whole rounds. Like, it's just not good. And so that's kind of the main issue with Blast Off. I think that if it was just like if this was just like even a regular dot, like it could be better, but obviously, Fire just needs a good strong hit that doesn't have anything attached to it that's sort of bringing down the damage like Raging Bull does with its smoke mantle. But if this was just like a pure damage AoE, I think it could be really, really great. Just it's not, and that's the only thing. So Fire, it's very, very good in teams, and honestly good at solo questing, but it could be much, much better because its biggest weakness, in my opinion, especially late game, is going to be just its AoEs are not nearly as great. In the Ice School's case, damage and all of that just in general is our biggest weakness. I think that, so funny story. About a year and a half or so ago, myself, Court and Board Tech, and many others in the community really railed hard for a Frost Giant buff, because Frost Giant, since its release in January of 2009, Frost Giant would do 475 damage, base damage, to all, and then stun all the enemies for 1 round. And it was like that until the summer of 2020, when most of the other 7-pip AoEs got buffed, but Frost Giant got nerfed to 460, which was kind of a slap in the face. But when that happened, you know, it was stupid as hell, and Ice is just, we just had to deal with it for 4 years. And then, eventually, in 2024, in that spring update, they dropped this Spellment Path, which buffs its damage by 45, because that's 10% of, or rounds down, right, to the base version, and like it'll go up by 45 at the max tier. Like, it still goes up by 45 at the max tier, but that was done because it did 460 when the Spellment Path was made. So when we saw that, and we saw, you know, Frost Giant doing 505 damage at the max tier, like, dude, what the hell? So the greater community, and I'm really proud of everybody for this, but the greater community really rallied hard for that to change, and the devs eventually caved on the grounds of making the first time user experience for an Ice Wizard not terrible, and then buff the base damage on it by 110. But yeah, I mean, we still lose out on a bit of damage on the Spellment Path, so that's kind of tragic, but it is what it is. Can't really fix that. Wiz is Wiz. So there is that. I still wish we could get rid of the stun and then have the base version do like 640, and then it goes up by 65, so 705 or even 715, you know, on the base damage with no stun attached to it. That would be really great, but that's not a world that we live in, and Ice just really struggles with doing damage because it has been kind of like the black sheep of the group. It's been consistently neglected by the developers, and like, with the exception of this, but this took like a huge community-wide rallying call to make this change happen. Because the devs, they were so just stubborn on it, and they were not going to change it for the longest time until eventually we did get them to change it, and that was really good on the community's part to have done that. But I mean, the fact that it took that and not the devs just sort of like looking into a card like this and being like, oh, you know, it needs a rework, just sort of on their own. It's like we had to push and shove and fight tooth and nail to get this card to be adequate for questing purposes. And so, I mean, even still, it's missing out on some damage. So, yeah, I mean, it's Ice's biggest weakness is that we struggle with damage, and Snow Angel obviously is its own thing. I mean, like, goodness, that's that's no fun to deal with. But Snowball Barrage is very good, and if you can upgrade the Spellment Pass to 115 ice damage per pip, really solid. Love that. And then we also have Freeze Ray, and Freeze Ray is a very good card as well. If I could ever find it, here we go. So yeah, Freeze Ray also very good. So yeah, Ice's AoEs that aren't like that. Okay, correction time. Ice's AoEs that do cost a shad are just impeccable and amazing. But our AoEs that don't cost a shad, which, you know, that's most of what we're using, all things considered, in our questing experience, like, let me see, that's the first one to find. Blizzard. Blizzard is decent, and it's good for the level, but it definitely gets outdated by the time you hit Dragonspire. What else do we have? We have Count Crocula. You know, this is a good AoE. You know, it's a good alternative to Blizzard, but, you know, 425 base damage, still not very high. What else is there? Frost Giant, as I mentioned, just sort of kind of a travesty. Snow Angel for the same reason, and then what am I missing? I'm missing Reindeer Knight. I don't know where it is. Here it is. Okay, so Reindeer Knight. This also got kind of hoed. I mean, because like, look at this. it's the exact same thing that I was talking about with the Fire Dragon, where the enchant will get split across here, and you get more value out of enchanting this path, but even then, at that point, you know, like, that's 595 damage for 5 pips. Like, come on, what are we doing? And then, because that was our best AoE for a while, and then Count Crocula came out, and this is way better, but even still, I mean, dude, Ice just struggles so much with damage, and we've come a long way, but, you know, it is still our biggest weakness, and that's just how things are. Storm's biggest weakness is, without a doubt, its survivability. Storm is meant to be this sort of glass cannon school, and, you know, it does do a lot of damage, and that was its biggest strength that I talked about in yesterday's video, but, you know, it's definitely, like, it just sort of falls over sometimes. Like, solo questing, especially through things like Arc 2 and all that, and also Arc 4, like, it's just very, very unfun. And yeah, because I mean, if a boss crits on you one time, like, you don't get to whatever, like you're at maybe 2,000 to 3,000 HP through, like, Avalon, for example. It's like, that is a whole issue, and, you know, Storm really has a hard time surviving, and it is a cornerstone of the Storm Wizard experience, and, you know, it's something to expect. But when you look at the stats, and, like, this is your resist at max level, like, bro, like, your damage is strong. Your damage is obviously very, very high, but, bro, that just sort of is a pain in the neck to deal with. But, yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, Storm, it hits hard, but it can dish, but it can't tank, is the main deal with it. So that is definitely Storm's biggest weakness. That is why questing, especially in the second arc, as a Storm, can be very, very tough, and is why I think it is one of the hardest schools to solo with. Like, it does do the damage, and Arc 3 is admittedly easy because of that, and because, like, Arc 3 is when it does get some survivability perks, but before and after that, it just struggles. And I mean, there's a lot of, like, maxing a Storm is not for the weak. Like, you've got to really be smart about it, and yeah, that's kind of all that there really is to it. So Storm's biggest weakness, survivability, just poor resistance, poor HP. Like, this is the only class where the meta set does not get you to 10,000 health, at least 10,000 health at least. So yeah, although that's probably going to change this fall, but you more or less get the idea. So that's the life of the Storm. For the Myth School, I'm really not even sure what to say is Myth's biggest weakness. Like, obviously it has no identity, because, I mean, look at this, like, minions and stuns and all of that. It's like, it has good utility, but it really just does not have the juice. Like, it's a very monotonous school. Like, you have good cards in Orthrus and Drop Bear Fury, and it's very easy to quest, but I'd say Myth's biggest weakness, like, really and truly, is its enjoyability factor. Otherwise, Myth is very strong, but when it comes to questing a Myth, it is, like, you can get bored of it quick, and that is, like, the main deal. It's like, you're strong, absolutely, and, you know, it's like, through the arcs, you, like, yeah, I mean, Myth just, once you get Orthrus, it's kind of smooth sailing, and that's like end of first arc, beginning of second, so it's, you know how that goes. Orthrus, very, very strong card, but I guess if I had to give, like, a real reasoning, I would say probably, like, the lack of a good shadow AoE. It's kind of the inverse of Ice's problem. Because Tattooworm's Hair, it's good, you know, it has the potential to do, like, what is that, 75 more damage than Orthrus, like, up to the top, but it also has the potential to do less damage than Orthrus, which is why people like to avoid it. Mystic Colossus, obviously got gutted back in 2020. And, yeah, I mean, overall, it's like, does Myth even have any more Shad? No, it's just Mystic Colossus and Tattleworm. But, yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, Myth just, like, the Orthrus change is what saved Myth. Like, really and truly. So, yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of monotonous. It's the exact same spells over and over, and yeah, enjoyability. There you go. There you have it. Enjoyability and lack of a good Shad AoE. But even then, that's not much of a weakness when you have a card like Orthrus, is it? I would say that Life's biggest weakness, and it's not even like a big weakness at all, but Life's damage is just ever so slightly lower than that of, like, all the other schools, pretty much, except for Ice. Like, Ice's damage, like I said. But Life just does not do as much, and that's obviously intentional, although Forest Lord does make up for that quite a bit. Cards like Lord of the Jungle, if you have it max tiered, like Lord of the Jungle can be very, very strong. But it's just like, Life is just that little bit weaker, and you have to think just a slight amount more when it comes to that. Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, Life is just like, it's got amazing stats, it's got an amazing card library, it's got, you know, Forest Lord, like I said, amazing card, but it's just like ever so slightly weaker. So sometimes you just have to throw in an extra buff, and, you know, sometimes that just makes it a little more tedious. So yeah, I mean, otherwise that's kind of it. Life is just not really, it doesn't really have much of a weakness. It's like I'm kind of grasping at straws trying to say that, but yeah, that's the Life school. I'm gonna give it to you straight. Death doesn't have a weakness. Yeah, because like I was saying in yesterday's video, the stats are just crazy, and like the cards are just nuts. I mean, Death can solo anything, and although like cards like Scarecrow, they do slightly less damage, Death's like stats just make up for it, is the main deal. So it's like Death just does not have a weakness. So I don't really know how else to say it. Like, Death is just that guy. It has a good Shad AoE. It has, obviously, Call of Cthulhu is another good Shad AoE. It's got good non-Shad AoEs, like Scarecrow and Wabagong Frenzy. It's got, you know, what else does it have? It's got Deer Knight, very, very good, even if it is the same problem as Fire Dragon, like I was talking about. It's got Ship of Fools, very, very good. Like, AoE drains just in general are wild. So, I mean, you have that. And then Death's card library is just nuts. I mean, I don't really have much else to say. Like, V-Plague, Bad Juju, you know. It's Death is just crazy with it. I just cramped up my thigh. Sick. Anyway, so, yeah, Death is just, it does not have a weakness, and I don't know how else to say that. It just doesn't have a weakness, and all it has are strengths. Like, Death is just the best school right now, and that is a big part of why. So, yeah, you heard it here. Not first, not second, not even, like, 50th, but probably for the millionth time. So, yeah, that's the Death school. Balance, to me, is just sort of, like, it's a jack of all trades and master of none, and that is intentional. That is just sort of the balanced wizard experience, but it struggles with buffs, as crazy as that is, like, for itself. Like, it is very, very good at support, and I did say that was its biggest strength. Like, it is, of course, very, very good at support, but when it comes to buffing itself, like, you gotta, like, Balance Blade and all of that, like even Dragonlance that you can get from the Reaver deck, but you know, it's like Balance is just, it's one of the hardest classes to solo with, just because it's like if you get weakness, which Dragonspire mobs always do, like it's kind of wild with that, but it's like you have to pack things like Cleanse Charm, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like balance just has to use more buffs. It's like it has a good card library and it does do good damage, but ultimately, I mean, balance it's just having to use more buffs, and having weaker buffs is going to be what hurts it. And that, I think, is balance's biggest weakness, because otherwise it's their biggest like strength when it comes to using them on other people. But of course, you know, here we are. Like, it is just it is not fun for balances to really experience when they're solo questing, because things like Power Nova, very, very good card, but can be tougher to buff up, and that can result in less damage sometimes. And then there's also the fact that balance just does not have a good non-balance like AoE, nor do they have a balance prism. That was a thing for like a little bit. I think they actually brought it back. Yeah, they brought it back with the old one's endgame, but it was gone for a while for some reason. Anyway, but yeah, but like balance does not have a prism, and that can make questing, especially in the early game, very hard, because you do not get a way to get around things like balance resistance until like Shadow Strike well into the 90s. So yeah, I mean, it's like that's why the Snappy Griffin pet is as good as it is, because you have it gives you this Lernian Hydra pet card, and that is absolutely what you've got to lean on as a balance. But in Arc 2, like, its usefulness starts to dwindle down a bit, because, you know, you get to Azteca and you need like a million feints, like and making this work on a balance boss, like, that can be tough. And so yeah, I mean, solo questing a balance is just hell, and we all know this. This is common knowledge. But yeah, just having weaker buffs and not getting a card like that until nested, and then also not getting Shrike until very late. Where the hell is my Shrike, actually? I don't even know where that went. But yeah, that's balance's biggest weakness, in my opinion. And that will be wrapping up the video. So yeah, definitely leave a comment if you agree or disagree, or if you think there's anything that I missed, because I probably did. I did this very impromptu and last minute, so you know how it goes. But yeah, does this sandcastle have any like relevance? Can I go in here? Probably not, right? I don't even know why this is out here. It's probably part of some side quest, but I don't know. if anybody knows what that is, leave a comment, you know. But yeah, with that being said, thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Cold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.